podcast?
Record. Yes.
We're live.
We're alive.
Not really. We are alive.
Yep.
But we're not actually live.
No.
Because this is pre-recorded.
This is...
As you might have guessed.
Yes. Live shows will come later.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, wouldn't that be fun? Right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Come with a theater background, so fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Let's do some live shows.
Doing it live. We're doing it live.
So you can see us at the Molson Amphitheater in Toronto to no one. Because you can't come.
Because it's closed. Because no one can go. Also, it's called the Budweiser stage now.
Oh, so it's a different beer.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, a different beer bottle. You paid $12 for a different beer now.
Could have been the Doritos Amphitheater. Like,
I
it had to be the fucking...
I know.
The Bud Light.
It couldn't have been the Lint Amphitheater. The Lint
the
chocolate.
Lint Chocolate Amphitheater.
The Lint Chocolate Amphitheater.
The Reese Cups Amphitheater.
The fucking Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar Amphitheater.
And all of the seats look like the Hershey's Cookies and Cream bars.
Ooh, yes.
All the seats are actually made of the Hershey's Cookies and Cream bars.
Ooh, yes.
And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's standing room
delicious.
only
Whoa.
now.
Yeah, because we ate it all.
Because everybody ate it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing post-COVID, edible amphitheaters. Let's make it happen.
That's a Kickstarter waiting to happen.
100%.
We can get people in on that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Donate like $2 donate $2 to get your name engraved on one of the chocolate seats.
Yes.
Be a part of history.
And only you can eat that seat.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly,
But when it's done, you have to pay another $2 to renew it to get another chocolate seat made.
It's like the Walk of Fame. You have to like rent. You're basically renting space.
Yeah, exactly.
In the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to like pay it. It's like rent. You have to pay rent every month.
It's like
on your chocolate seat.
You're fucking keeping up your Hall of Fame chocolate seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $2 to get the name engraved, but it's $100 a month to keep it up. But we don't tell you that. That's in the fine print. That's in like the low.
You find that out later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find it out when we charge your credit card. And it's non-refundable. Like, no, we have your money. Like, it's ours. Welcome back to the Chill Spot Podcast.
Welcome to the Chill Spot Podcast, everybody.
You're yucking and yaffing again, back for another week of goofs and gaffs.
Yucking and yaffing and goofing and gaffing.
So,
all
Sam,
up in the basement of our parents' houses.
The Chateau Chill Spot, Sam.
The Chateau de Chill Spot.
You see, what these people don't see is that beyond this black void that we're currently recording in is a house.
It's better if you just stay in the void. Yeah.
That's why you keep it in the Chateau Chill Spot. What happens in the Chateau Chill Spot stays in the Chateau Chill Spot.
Okay, so grab your blankie and buckle up, baby, because we're fucking going. Our mommies can't hear us, and we're talking swears.
Yeah, we're talking swears. I'm going to add that to our fucking podcast bio. I'm going to put that, like, Sam and Cam are a couple of artists who talk swears on microphone.
Talk swears on the internet.
Who think their mommies are very proud of them. They aren't.
They don't know that we're swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how was your week, Sam?
My week was fine.
Great.
Cool.
Well, my week was also fine.
Never learning, always ending. No and.
Yes,
yeah.
Sam. You know, Sam and I, when we were early on in our Chill Spot, career, we started this. We had to talk to each other about general improv stuff, and we've decided that no and is the best
way to go.
We're
subverting the genre. Yeah. We're trying the no and route.
So instead of building on something like Sam, give me a scenario. Give me a scenario.
Okay. Hey man, want to go to the beach?
No.
Okay. And scene.
See? Look at what's funny.
That's right, everybody. We're Fruity Loop-de-Loops. This is our improv night on Thursdays at 11 p.m. We're serving up all the laughs.
I know I've mentioned this in the podcast a million times, but I still think about that tweet where it's like, why would anybody not want to be an artist? Like, why would you want to go to business school and get a 4,000 square foot house and have tacos every Wednesday with your loved one on marble counters? I'm an artist. Come to my improv show. It's at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
It kills me. Like, every
you don't
single
want
time.
this life? What do you mean you don't want this life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just so fucking funny to me, man.
I know.
But how was actually your week, damn it?
My week was fine. I moved out of Chateau Chill Spot and back in with my mommy, and I saw my kitty again. Mm-hmm. We hung out.
And
He immediately. I said I saw my kitty again.
I know.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while since you've seen it.
Yeah, it's worth saying twice.
You're not getting...
Yes, and it was worth seeing twice. You're talking about my pussy. Yeah. Yes, I know. I'm trying not to because people don't like that. It's not fun.
Have we gotten that note? Have you gotten that note that people don't like it when you talk about your vagina?
It's just that when I listen back, I don't like it. And if it doesn't make me laugh, then that means that other people aren't laughing.
Cool.
So,
whatever.
Moving on.
Sam, cut this out.
My cat, Apollo, and it was great. Mm-hmm. And my mom had renovated the entire kitchen, and I had to relearn where stuff is in my kitchen.
Yeah. Well, how was that? Like, generally speaking, like, it's just like...
Yeah, it was nice. My mom keeps coming up with all of these, like, weird rules now that, like, she's like, okay, now that we have the new kitchen, we're gonna do things right. Mm-hmm. So, and, like, some of the things make sense, but some of the things also don't make sense. Like, she's like, okay, now that we have, like... Okay, so... In the old kitchen, our Tupperware drawer was broken, so we were keeping Tupperware in like a dollar store laundry hamper on the floor.
A big bag on the floor, yeah.
Yeah, a big sack on the floor, and it was an organized mess.
Big sack of Tupperware.
Disgusting. Yeah. It was a disgusting mess. You couldn't find anything. So now that we have the new drawer, she's like, okay, like. I try and, put the lid for the container in the same drawer that the container is in. Maybe it's not, maybe we can't keep it organized, but if you can just keep the lids and the containers in the same drawer, that would be great. I was like, cool, perfect, got it. And she was like, and now we keep the toaster like off of the counter. Like we don't keep the toaster on the counter anymore. Now we just keep it like in a drawer. You take it out if you want to use it, which is a note that she took from your house.
Oh, yeah.
Because your mom keeps the toaster in a cupboard underneath, which I don't really like, but like it's her kitchen and I understand it.
It keeps general breadcrumbage off the countertops.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have toast or I toast something at least, like, 4 times a week. So, like, it's kind of annoying for me. But, again, her house, her rules. It does keep the crumbs off the counter.
It's good for your back. You bend down. You get some exercise in.
No, that's bullshit.
Pick up that toaster.
No.
Do a couple of these.
Just rev it up. Rev it up. Yeah, no, not my favorite thing in the world. But, I could accept it. I could accept it.
Well, yeah. Listen, Sam, in our kitchen, we'll have toasters on every countertop.
Yeah.
All of them.
You turn around and there's a different toaster on the countertop.
I want toast from that toaster. Did you toast this in the North toaster?
I did, yeah. Why? Why? What's wrong with the North toaster? You always grind me about the North toaster and I'm sick of it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, look at the toast.
Look at it. What? Oh, so you want it like fucking black, like the East toaster gives you? Do you want that?
Don't bring the East toaster into this.
Because I could put your shit in the East toaster, Cameron. I could put it in the East toaster if that's what you want. If that's what you really want.
But I'm happy for your mom. I think the new kitchen is beautiful.
Yeah, but something that she came up with that I really don't appreciate is the cereal drawer now. So she has there are the cereals, like the new boxes, but anytime we open up a new box, she takes the bag out and puts it in this Frosted Flakes jumbo box that she's cut in half. And now I have to take plastic bags, undescript plastic bags of cereal out if I want to figure out what kind of cereal I want that day. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Again, it's Mom, this is a made up thing. This is a life hack that you made up that you think is more organized or keeps things more organized, but it's not. I just don't know. I'm reaching in this box of random plastic bags and I never know what I'm pulling out. At least if I want to reach for the Nesquik, I see the yellow box. I'm okay, Nesquik. If I want Frosted Flakes, I see the blue box. I'm okay, Frosted Flakes. This is what I'm grabbing.
Right.
Now I'm yoink, nope, that's Shreddies. Yoink, nope, that's Honey Bunches of Oats. Yoink, Lucky Charms. Finally.
Right.
It's adding one extra step.
I'm a little confused. So she took a jumbo box and cut it
in half.
So it's still this.
Yeah,
right?
like she cut it hamburger wise, not hot dog wise. So it's
okay.
Yeah. So if this is your cereal box, she cut it this way and then kept the bottom.
And then she put extra bags?
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's really saving any space.
Tell her that, man. And she's so we do it like this now because I was gone the whole time. So she had the complete free range over the organization.
Just went rampant. Yeah.
And her ideas just went rampant. And she's so I took this out and I added this in. And sometimes it makes sense, the toaster or the what did I say before?
I don't know. Tupperware,
yes. And then there's things like that. Oh, last thing. So, and then we'll move on. So we got a new dishwasher, and instead of, like, we had the kind before that had, like, the basket for your utensils and you like stuck them in, and now our new one has, like, the third, like, mini drawer at the very top of the dishwasher, where you like lay all of the utensils out. And she was like, okay, so what we do now is we put the utensils in order as they go in the utensil drawer, so that when you're emptying the dishwasher, you just, like, take them out and, like, plop them in the drawer. And I'm like, so I'm supposed to think about, like, what order the utensils go in as I'm, like, putting them in. I'm like, oh, I can't put the fork on, like, this section of the utensil rack. I gotta put it over here because...
What does it matter where you put it in the dishwasher? Because you're just gonna put it in the drawer where it's supposed to be.
These are the thoughts that I have. This is what I'm working with here. This is what I live with, okay?
Hey, you wanted to leave the Chateau Chill spot. That's what you wanted.
Concept. I get my own apartment and live my life in my space the way I want it.
Doug
Ford, pay me more money to do things. Please.
Please.
God.
Douglas, please.
So yeah, that's been my week. It's just like getting used to my mom's new funky rules.
Well, I mean, hey, that's a life adjustment, but, like, your house is cool. I mean, it's always been cool.
Yeah.
But you have these awesome renovations.
Yeah.
You know, brand new, comfy, cozy kitchen to sit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
good.
cool.
Good. I'm glad to hear your week was good.
Mm-hmm. How was your week been?
My week was good as well. Being
Did you miss me?
Did you
miss me? Say what you want to say.
I did miss you, Sam.
Okay.
It was the first couple of days were nice just because, like, you know, we lived together for like a couple of months, and, like, you know, always having you around is nice. But the first couple of nights were good because get to sort of just, like, chill, you know. I mean, we're both introverted, so, like, it was really nice to just be able to hang out by myself and do whatever. This is the first work week of you not living here and having to do Chill Spot stuff remotely in terms of the stuff we're planning and prepping.
Like writing and stuff.
Yeah, and it went really well. You know, I thought that went awesome. And due to our sort of remote work, I found a lot more time this week to work on my own creative projects, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So I've just felt like a good week. I feel like this whole remote thing is working out, and I feel like when we eventually do come together again, we'll have a new framework for how to handle work, and it's just good balance, man. Good balance.
It's good to try out different things and have the space. That is the plus to both of us living at our respective parents' houses, is that we know what it's like to live together, and we know what we need when we live apart. So like, I feel like when we need to move in together, we'll have respect for each other's, like, space and time and stuff like that. We'll see. I mean, maybe we'll rip each other's heads off.
I think that we should split the apartment down the middle with a piece of tape.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'll have my half and you have your half.
Yeah.
And then, like, you will come together I agreed upon times.
Yes.
But then, like, otherwise, it's like, don't breach the line.
We'll establish borders and, like, get passports. And exactly.
No, it's very particular. I have my own set of laws and my own set of bylaws that I don't tell anyone. Yeah. Because bylaws be like that.
They do.
You know, weird. It's like the whole set of laws in the land that you just, like, no one really knows about.
Yeah, until you break one. And they're like, you can't do that. And you're like, why? And then someone's like, there's a bylaw. And I'm like, where does it say that? And they're like, in the handbook.
Handbook?
I'm like, what handbook? I was born here. I didn't get a handbook upon entry.
Yeah, really.
What the fuck is going on?
You know what that feels like? That feels like when you're on the playground in elementary school and you're playing pretend with a group of kids, and then someone springs something on you, like, no, you can't do that. You can't do it. That's against the rules. And it's like, what rules? Like, this one.
Yeah.
That's not a part of the rules. Like, yes, it is.
And it's like, you made that up just now. And then that person turns to their friend who always yes-ands them.
Yes.
And goes like, isn't that the rule, Timmy? And Timmy's like, yeah, that's the rule. That's totally the rule. And you're like, you both are bullshitting me right now. Yeah. You made that the fuck up.
And I'm not over that, Timmy. You think all these years later that the wound would heal? It hasn't.
And Brittany, fuck you.
Fucking Timmy and Brittany, I swear.
Timmy and Brittany, idiots.
What the fuck is their problem?
So rude.
What are we talking about today?
Well, I'm glad that we had a couple of bits going there because I wanted to talk about comedy.
Comedy!
Comedy is an art form, and it is an art form that's very near and dear to my heart. I turn to it a lot for many things, to learn about my life and just to and to blow off steam and forget about my life at the same time. It's a very, like, push and pull relationship that I have with comedy. So, can't talk about comedy without talking about comics. So, I have to ask the question now. Give me your top 5 favorite comics.
Are we talking just like people who do comedic stuff, or are we talking about stand-up comedians?
I'll broaden it, and we can say just like people who do comedic stuff.
Good, because I don't have 5 favorite stand-up comedians.
I like a lot of stand-up. Like, I love stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
I think like stand-up is so fascinating to me.
Whoops.
But I can't think of 5 stand-up comedians that I follow enough. I can probably name 2. So just like 5 people. Like, you can include sketch comics. You can include like late night hosts. If you can think of one, then yeah.
If I can think of one of the Jimmys. Like, Jesus Christ. Like 5 white guys all named Jimmy.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I've never met a real life person named Jimmy in my life.
Yeah, really.
And somehow there's 2 of them on late night.
I knew a Jimmy.
Well, it's fucking Italian.
James.
So
Jimothy. I'm trying to think of 5 favorite Well, see, in terms of people who do, because like it's funny for me as someone who enjoys comedy and someone who like, well, is sort of a part of a thing that is like, you know, comedy is in our description.
This is a comedy podcast.
You know,
it is. Yes.
I don't really watch or consume a lot of comedy because I like to find comedy in places where it's not expressly trying to be comedic.
That's a common thing amongst comics. Is like you'll ask them like, do you watch stand up in your spare time? Do you watch comedies in your spare time? Is it what you choose to watch when you're like sitting at home with the remote in your hand? And a lot of them say no.
No, yeah, because I don't know. Like so much of comedy is observational, and you just have to make observations about things, right? Like, but I think like my favorite comedic actors and stuff, like I love like Sam Rockwell.
Okay,
he's a super good actor.
Yeah,
and like even when he does quote unquote serious stuff, it always kind of has like a comedic edge. Like he's always kind of like a goofball,
totally,
or like an eccentric.
We watched 7 Psychopaths recently,
and isn't that such a good movie?
I mean, he got the Oscar for 3 Billboards, which is like deserved. He should have gotten one for 7 Psychopaths too.
I think that was fantastic. I don't know if 7 Psychopaths was as like lauded as 3 Billboards was, but it's a fucking good movie, man.
Great movie.
Really, really good movie. I'm gonna group them together in the same one, but I really love Michael Che and Colin Jost.
Okay.
I've been enjoying their SNL. I mean,
weekend
updates and stuff.
Yeah, they're a great team.
They're really funny. Like, and they play off each other really well.
Yeah.
The weekend update is hilarious.
Well, we watched Michael Che's stand up, Michael Che Matters, or whatever it's called. Yeah, remember he has that bit about like, can we get civil rights? Oh, man. Okay, well, we did watch it together.
God, wow. Sorry, Michael. I don't remember your stand-up,
Clearly had an impact
on
really. God damn.
I'll group them together, Michael Che and Colin Jost. Yeah. I actually know someone who I think is deeply, deeply funny is Andy Samberg.
Yes.
I think Andy Samberg is hilarious.
Absolutely.
He got a lot of, in my opinion, like, brought SNL to like the digital age, what with his short, like, he sort of like proved that like YouTube for SNL was like, worthwhile. Like make videos and put them on YouTube, right? Yeah. So I appreciate Andy Samberg for that. I'm trying to think. Like I'm really like scratching the bottom of the barrel. Like
yeah, Andy Samberg, real bottom of the barrel type comedy.
No, it's like 4 guys. Like I don't know. Like,
hold on. You said Sam Rockwell, Colin Jost, and Michael Che, Andy Samberg. That's 3. You're most of the 2 more. 2 more people who you think are funny. People
who make me laugh. People who always make me laugh. I mean, does RuPaul count? Because I think RuPaul is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
I know that RuPaul is a problematic king. Like, I'm not going to pretend like he isn't.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ. I don't know if he definitely doesn't write his own jokes, but, like, it's just so funny.
He doesn't write his, well, he probably writes, I don't know what RuPaul writes, to be perfectly honest. If he writes his own jokes, if he writes all of his jokes, I don't know. If he participates in the writing of them, co-writing, whatever. But you can't tell me that RuPaul doesn't have fantastic comedic timing.
No, he does.
And that takes a knowledge of comedy in order to do that. And so I would consider RuPaul a comedic persona.
Absolutely.
A comedic person.
I mean, RuPaul, like, how many times? We quote RuPaul constantly.
All the time.
Whenever we say, I'm going to key your fucking car.
I'm going to key your fucking car.
Yeah, that's RuPaul. It's Drag Race. Yeah.
Nice.
Just now. Like, I'm fucking laughing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, one more. If I can get one more.
Yeah, that's 4.
I guess, like, this is kind of a weird choice, but someone who always makes me laugh, and he always shows up, and, like, I appreciate what he does, is Wayne Brady.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good choice.
Wayne Brady is hysterical. Whenever he's in something, it's so funny.
Wayne Brady gets so much flack, especially from the black community, for being like, people call him white because he's not like super aggressive.
Right.
He's not like, he doesn't embody, like you think about black comedians, I think like especially of Wayne Brady's sort of age bracket.
Yeah.
I think like Cedric the Entertainer, I think Steve Harvey, I think like Jamie Foxx. These people, like, they can be wholesome, sure, but they can also be raunchy.
Yeah.
And they can be, and they you know, they swear. They all swear.
Critical.
I don't think Steve Harvey swears, but they all swear on occasion. You know, like, you wouldn't always, like, it's not always a family-friendly affair. Like,
Sure.
I wouldn't take my kids to a Steve Harvey show. Not that, you know, I just don't think they would get it, you know? But, like, Wayne Brady, like, kids can laugh at Wayne Brady.
Yeah.
And also adults can laugh at Wayne Brady. And I feel like in the black community, that sort of undercuts him because he's not this, like, you know, this, like, tough black guy. But I think that there's...
soft.
I think that there is just... something so fucking funny about Wayne Brady. Like, he's not afraid to be silly.
Yeah.
You know, he's an improv genius. Like, that song thing that he does, where he's taken it to a couple of his live shows, and he does it on Who's Line all the time. But, like, you give him like 5 words and he comes up with a rap freestyle or a song that like is funny and includes all of those words.
He's super impressive, man.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
I think Wayne Brady is so underappreciated.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like, I love how you just brought up the idea of him being this kind of softer guy that doesn't really embody, like, what a lot of people, I guess, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the black community feel as though, like, what is needed from a black comedian, I guess. Which is hysterical.
He's not like a Def Jam comic.
No, yeah. Which is, I think, is hysterical because then there's that famous Dave Chappelle sketch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where A Night with Wayne Brady and he goes out and he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny though.
Yeah,
like,
but that only works because it's so
he's a
known
softie.
that Wayne Brady is so not hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just, like, to me, like, I literally understand in terms of, like, I'm not confused by that notion, but I just think that's kind of weird. Like, why does he have to be that way?
Toxic masculinity. That's all it is.
Short answer.
That's all it is. And it's like, he also appeals to white folks.
Right.
White people look at you. White people love Wayne Brady.
His crossover, yeah.
Yeah, his crossover appeal. It's almost like, but like crossover appeal, like Jamie Foxx has crossover appeal because white people like Jamie Foxx, but black people still like Jamie Foxx.
Right.
White people love Wayne Brady. Not all black people love, not all white people come back or not all black. Jesus fucking Christ.
Are you okay? Oh my God.
White people love Wayne Brady, but not all black people necessarily love Wayne Brady.
Yeah. Jeez, we got there. That was fucked. I've never seen your brain just go like just like that many times.
It hurts. This is my hamster brain trying to put a sentence together in real time.
The hamster in your brain just now was going like, whoa!
Now imagine 27 years trying to be an adult with this fucking brain, huh? Imagine tax season. Imagine making phone calls.
I mean, you looked lost brushing your teeth this morning.
I did. I lost my mind. I lost my goddamn mind. So I was like, I don't know where I am. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
Why don't you go read some Nancy Drew?
But I know that I need to brush my teeth, so I'm gonna brush my teeth.
Yeah. You get this. That's the look. I was about to say, you get this look on your face. No, I'm serious. It's like very despondent. Very like, I'll walk in and I seriously like. I know that you're also someone, like, no offense at all, but you're someone who, like, wears themselves on their sleeve in terms of, like, you're not really good at, like, keeping a lid on things.
My emotions, when I don't like something.
So when I walk in and you're just like, immediately I'm like, what's wrong? Like, there is so obviously something wrong.
Yeah.
But what I like about Wayne Brady, I just, like, the thing I appreciate about Wayne Brady is the same thing I sort of appreciate about, like, I know it's not the most apt comparison, especially.
You're not helping his case, by the way. By being a white person talking about white, like, I'm gonna let you finish,
right.
But like every time a white person explains why they love Wayne Brady, it's just like digging his grave a little bit more so that the black community can just bury him.
Talk about his comedic technique. I really applaud comedians who work clean.
Yeah,
it's hard to be clean and funny.
Yeah,
like it's really hard.
Yeah,
we're not clean.
What do you talk about?
Yeah.
What do you talk about?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be funny and not swear.
Like, listen, I can take swearing out of my vocabulary. I can. I know I have a sailor's mouth, but like, I really, really can. But I can't not talk about sex.
I guess not.
You know what I mean?
I guess.
Like, I can't not talk about, and like, here's the other thing too. Like, I fight so hard on what is dirty.
Sure.
Because if I got on stage and like talked about my period, people would say that I'm a dirty comic. I wouldn't be considered a clean comic. Why? If I talked about farting, not a clean comic. If I talked about anything to do with like the bathroom, I would be considered not a clean comic.
Well, it's called toilet humor for a reason.
Exactly. But it's like, what we all do it. You know,
well, that's
we,
sort
and
of
like
the
we
angle.
all have sex at some point. Obviously, not children, but like, you know, sex is a natural thing, and it's weird, and it's clunky, and it doesn't make any sense, but we do it, and it's instinctive, but it's considered dirty. But I just refuse to see it as a dirty thing, and so I talk about it.
I mean, sure, whatever. Like, I think dirty, I think we could maybe change the word where it's like, because dirty implies that it's negative, right?
Yeah.
It implies that there's like, it's like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
There's like a taboo to it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not really dirty. It's just kind of like gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of, it's just in that vein. Like, it's not like it should be taboo, but it's definitely like, if you're going to talk about this stuff, there should be like some sort of disclaimer, you know?
I guess, yeah.
For, you know, we bring children around or whatever.
Yeah. And just like, you know, It does kind of give you a bit of a brace because like maybe you are comfortable talking about sex, but maybe you're not comfortable talking about sex in the way that I talk about sex. You know, like
openly and honestly,
yeah.
Yep.
And like very explicitly.
You went on a 5-minute rant last stream about your butthole.
Did I?
No.
I was gonna say I could have, but I don't think I did.
No, that was a bit.
That time.
No. Yeah, Sam luckily laid off the butthole talk last stream. We'd have a stern conversation about it after 2 streams ago.
Yeah.
Where I was like, listen, I know you're sex positive, and that's really great. You know I love you for that, but like, we lost viewers when you were talking about butthole maintenance for like 20 fucking minutes. Like,
every showerhead has a stream, and I suggest you find it. That is, and you know what I'm talking about. But yes, clean comics, you know, there is, you know, non-potty humor things to talk about that, you know, pull everybody into this experience we call life.
yeah.
And it's not dirty, air quotes. And that's all well and good. And I applaud comedians who can find those aspects of life and expand on them and make them funny for us all to enjoy.
There you go.
It's, you know, I love all humor, explicit and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humor is humor, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you're allowed to laugh at anything.
I love Wayne Brady just as much as I love Cat Williams.
There you go.
So
Exactly right.
there you go.
Your top 5.
My top 5 is John Mulaney, 150,000%. John Mulaney.
He's a funny guy.
John Mulaney. You want to talk about quoting all the time? Like, do all my friends hate me or do I just need to go to sleep?
You speak almost exclusively in John Mulaney quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what the fucking horse would say. But I also say, and you spent it already?
Yeah, you say that a lot.
I say that a lot. I'm sure it'll come up. But yeah, so John Mulaney, definitely up there. I'm also going to do a pairing just because I don't see them do stand-up alone that much anymore. But Phoebe Robinson and Jessica Williams.
Oh, good choice.
The 2 dope queens.
Yeah, they're very funny.
Yeah, their podcast is everything. If you haven't listened to it yet, they don't do it anymore. So if you want a podcast with like a finite ending, there you go.
Oh, get into it.
I will also name a drag queen in Bob the Drag Queen.
Oh, Bob is great. Yeah.
2 Dope Queens is how I heard about Bob the Drag Queen even before we started watching Drag
did Bob
Race.
go on?
Yeah, Bob was on an episode
that's so
of
cool.
of 2 Dope Queens called I Hated It. And it's really, really good. It's really funny. So yeah, Bob the Drag Queen is somebody that I really, really love humor-wise. And just like drag queens in general are so funny.
Yeah.
Like I love my comedy queens. Okay, so I've got John Mulaney, Phoebe Robinson and Jessica Williams,
Bob the
Drag Queen, and
2
just
more.
drag queens in general.
This is harder than you thought.
It is. Like when I told you that I wanted to talk about this, I was like, oh, it's gonna be hard.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
It's gonna be hard.
This is gonna be a slow, painful episode, folks.
While we think about this.
Yeah. Be sure to cut out all this silence.
100% cut out all of the silence. I already said all drag queens, but like I think Trixie Mattel is so funny.
That's another good example. I mean, because like the thing with Trixie is that like in my opinion, she's so she's so robust in her stuff.
Yeah.
And has come so far.
Yeah.
I know she still does, like, she obviously, her whole thing is drag.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's just such a well-rounded artist. Like, I don't even really identify her explicitly as a drag queen. Yeah.
She's a comedian, musician, drag queen. Like, it's just another facet of her art.
Totally.
I'm gonna kick myself because there are so many comedians that I love, and I'm not thinking of them right now. Chris Rock, actually.
Oh, that's a good choice. Chris Rock is he's a legendary comedian.
Yeah. Chris Rock is one of my favorites. Obviously, I love like his classic joke about like
okay.
Sorry, I hit the mic. Fathers who want cookies for being fathers.
Oh, yeah,
it's like you don't get a reward for doing something that you're supposed to do.
I pay my child support. I support my family. Yeah, you want a fucking cookie? Obviously, I can't do that. I'm not, Chris Rock.
Tambourine is really good.
Tambourine is so good.
Tambourine is
amazing.
Tambourine, motherfucker, tambourine.
I actually, before we move on, what I really like about Tambourine is actually just like the way it's filmed.
Yeah.
It's very pretty stand-up. Like,
Burnham directed that.
I know.
Actually.
And like he chooses great moments to pull in and great moments to stay wide. And like, obviously, like what I really like about it is like it's the most, like, in my opinion, the most introspective Chris Rock stand-up where he like really talks about like his own life and like how he's fucked up a lot.
Yeah.
And like he's a really interesting person.
I totally think he is. I think that I read a Rolling Stone article on him a couple of years ago. I actually kept it. I have a bunch of Rolling Stone magazines, but that's one of the ones that I kept when I did my huge purging because I feel like the journalist who interviewed him actually like asked him questions about what he likes and what he dislikes.
Sure.
And you find out that Chris Rock is like, he's like a huge fan of Woody Allen, like he loves Woody Allen movies. Problematic, of course, but you wouldn't expect a comedian with the track record like Chris Rock to love Woody Allen films.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, I want to know more about that. I want to know more about your influences. I want to know more about how you approach what you make, all that stuff. I think Chris Rock is such an interesting person. And then the last person who just occurred to me right now is Donald Glover.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be my sixth choice, too.
He doesn't do stand-up anymore. I honestly wish he would, because Weirdo is probably my favorite stand-up of all time.
Weirdo is, like, I've always said this, Weirdo is our generation's Delirious.
Yeah. For me, at least.
Yeah.
I watch it, I've said this a million times, at least once a year. I quote it all the time. You and
all the time.
Whenever somebody does something stupid out in public now, we go, why'd you do that?
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Why'd you do that?
Hide. Yeah.
I gotta hide.
That whole bit is amazing.
Yeah.
With the back turned and he does the voicemail.
I wanna die.
Yeah.
I wanna die.
It's just so crazy to think that that's Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Like, considering the person he is now.
And also, like, all of his work on Community.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah. So yeah, John Mulaney, Two Dope Queens, Bob the Drag Queen, Trixie Mattel. And fucking I said Chris Rock and Donald Glover, so I said six
people.
But Trixie Mattel can kind of go in with Bob the Drag
Queen.
Queen.
I did
say drag queens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my faves personally.
Good choices, all good choices.
Yeah. So now that we've established sort of like a introductory sort of surface level of like who we find funny, can you describe your style of humor?
I don't think I can. I'm gonna try, but like, I think my sense of humor is very situation based. I love creating scenarios. Anyone who's spent time with me and my friends know that, because we all have the same sense of humor. Yeah. Right, which is pivotal for like being friends.
What is that?
And I think that it's usually like, if I had to put it into like 3 sentences.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like sudden escalation. Usually some form of slapstick violence.
Okay.
And funny sound effects.
Okay.
Those are sort of like the pillars of what I find funny.
I think you can include funny sound effects in with like slapstick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also just like I don't know, like pointing out the ridiculousness of things. Like I'm a big proponent of like, okay, so like I have no grounds to stand on for this. I'm also not a fucking comedian, so I have no right to be saying this. But I think the notion that it's funny because it's true is misguided. Like, I actually think things are funny when they're not true.
When they're not true.
I think it's easier to make funny of something that's an impossible scenario.
When it's so far out of the realm of reality that it's like absurd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like when you are hanging out with a good person. Like I do this a lot, like on stream even. Like all of the people, I like to hope anyway, all the people who watch our streams, I like to believe are good people, right? So when I make a joke about one of our moderators, like, texting me at 4 a.m. drunk, like, really explicitly sexual things, it's funny because that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's not real.
That would never happen.
That's just a stupid joke.
Yeah.
Like, that is sort of an example of what I think is funny.
Actually, to draw it back to Chris Rock, actually, there's, like, a joke that he has in Tambourine where he's, like, talking about...
his kids?
Yeah, where he's talking about how, like, you have to prepare... Black parents have to prepare their children for the harshness of the outside world, and how, you know, when you step out when you're black, people automatically assume things about you.
Right.
And that's a tough conversation. So he has this joke where in order to prepare his kids for how harsh the real world is, he doesn't give them anything nice. He, like, from the jump, like, when they're babies, you put them in, like, a onesie that weighs, like, 500 pounds.
Daddy, we can't move.
Yeah, Daddy, we can't move. And it's, like, hot.
And
they're, like, hot and heavy, and they can't move around. And, like, Daddy. And they're, like, you, like, have them at a birthday party, and, like, have them, like, their birthday napkins are, like, sharp. You, like, they, like, pick it up, and they, like, wipe their face. They're like, oh, my God, it's so sharp.
Totally.
Daddy, why? I cut myself. It's like, you're ready for the real world now, mate. It's like, I love... so you say that you think it's funny because it's not true, but I like it when you take something that is true and you make it so absurd, because then you point out these, like, crazy, and this is what the best comedy does for me. It points out, like, all these stupid little rules that society makes up for ourselves, and how we have to, like, twist and conform to them, and how stupid it all is, because it's just made up barriers that we put on ourselves.
That's the escalation part that I talked about. Like sudden escalation. Like, when you bring things to the extreme, like you just said, what gets pointed out is how ridiculous things are.
Exactly.
So it's funny. That's where the comedy comes from.
Yeah.
I think that's probably how I'd describe what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like offbeat but observational, absurd humor
and funny sound effects, like seriously, like fucking fart jokes. Like, one of my favorite things, I actually have the video saved because it makes me laugh every single time. What's something I fucking love, it's a clip from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's the episode I'm gonna keep it short for those who don't watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but the episode where Captain Holt gets jumped and he keeps it a secret from everyone.
Right.
And then Jake and his husband Kevin, like, investigate and, like, find it out. Yeah. And, like, it's this whole thing where Captain Holt is really pissed because he's like, you know, like, I didn't ask you to look into this kind of thing. And the whole joke is like, he just like, I apprehended, I was jumped, I got attempted to be mugged by 3 people, but I fought them off. And there's this quick clip, like a jump cut, and it cuts to him fighting the guys, and he punches one guy and he gets knocked out, and he punches another guy and he gets knocked out, and he punches the third guy goes, oof! And it kills me every single time, because it's like, oh, like, it's just so funny. Yeah, like, that's hysterical.
Yeah, you love a sudden sound effect, or like you love it. You even love the absence of sound, like when someone gets cut off at just the right time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like funny, like screams that get cut off really sudden.
Another really good thing is in Futurama, another super funny cartoon. There's like these robot audiences that like they sit, like, I don't know, it's like the Salazar, I think his name is. He has like this like robot talk show, and the audience is all robots, right? But because they're robots, they're like, everybody applause. So it's like,
right.
You know, and it gets cut, like,
right.
And they're all like, cheer, and it's like, what? That's hysterical.
Stops very
That's
suddenly.
so funny.
Yeah.
Because robots would cheer and clap like that, because they're robots. They would all end at the exact same time.
Yeah, it definitely, like, the quickest way to make Cam laugh is just, like, make the funniest, most ridiculous noise.
Pretty much.
That you can think of.
Because you know what it is? Like, I know, actually, this has nothing to do with my comedic preferences, but, like, something I think in that same vein where it's, like, a really funny noise is a really stupid name. When you give someone a really stupid name, you start to imagine the life they'd live.
Yeah.
And that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with funny sound effects. Because my mind immediately goes, what would happen to cause that noise? And you build the scenario in your head and you laugh at it because it's hilarious. Yeah. Right?
Do you make yourself laugh? Like, do you ever, like, laugh to yourself when you're just, like, sitting at your desk working alone or something?
I won't, like, I'll reminisce on things that make me laugh. But I don't think I'll, like, unless, like, something happens out of nowhere, like, it's, like, a book falls off a shelf and makes a particular noise.
I used to make myself laugh all the time at my old job because there was nothing else. Like, you literally, like, you're walking around the store for hours by yourself, just, like, picking things off the shelves, scanning it. It's extremely repetitive and boring. So I would just entertain myself. I would, like, make up scenarios in my head, and I would make myself laugh all the time. I probably looked insane.
I mean, I am probably my own harshest critic. And I often watch funny things and not laugh, but acknowledge that they're funny. It's kind of a weird thing I do, where it's like I can like look at something and be like, yeah, I see the comedy here. Like, I see where you've set this up, and I think that it's funny. But they're like, we didn't laugh. Yeah, whatever. I think it's funny, though. Like,
yeah.
I don't always laugh.
We've talked about this before, how, like, just because you're not laughing doesn't mean a person is not being funny.
No,
sometimes
God,
it's just
no.
captivating.
Sometimes you're just allowed to enjoy something. Just like sit quietly enjoy something.
Yeah, totally.
How would you describe your comedic preferences?
I definitely love dry humor.
You do.
I love, like, when someone just like does a look and it punctuates a joke so well for me. I love blink and you'll miss it humor.
Totally.
Where like just the smallest gesture or movement, you know, like someone just going like, huh? Like could punctuate a joke and make somebody laugh.
Eye movements, subtle movements.
Yeah. There are moments in The Crown, which is this like serious drama where something is happening and like Olivia Colman, who's playing Queen Elizabeth, will just like look over or she'll look at like Prince Philip or something. And I just laugh so fucking hard because like the absurdity of it all. I refuse to take The Crown seriously.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I think The Crown is one of the funniest shows.
Yeah. Actually,
I'm like, that's why people are sad.
Fuck the royals. Wait a minute. I don't give a fuck.
They're like the colonizers. I don't feel bad for them in any way about anything regarding their life. Everything they do, they brought upon themselves.
Sure.
They could completely dissolve the way that they do things in an instant. And like the little shit boys who like stand by and be like, that's not what the royals do, would just have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Queen Elizabeth could dissolve the monarchy at any time and rebuild it and make it whatever she wants. And she could have done it over her like 90 some odd years of being the queen, but she didn't. And so it's hilarious when fucking Princess Margaret is complaining that she doesn't have enough responsibilities. I'm like, you could do whatever you want. You could really do whatever you want.
You can go to fucking Fiji for the rest of your life. Like,
yeah, who gives a shit? I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel bad for you at all. So whenever, like, some shit's going down on the Crown and Queen Elizabeth just, like, looks over at one of her aides or, like, over at Prince Philip, it's just so funny. Because these people don't have... They can't act out. You know, they're royals. They can't be funny. I love taking away your ability to be like, like, you know, like silly and being like, okay, try and be humorous now.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's interesting. And I love seeing what people can do with it.
That's interesting.
But at the same time, I love, I should have added to my list, Middleditch and Schwartz.
Oh, those guys are funny.
Like Ben Schwartz and Thomas Middleditch. I watched their Netflix specials in like the first ever quarantine, and I laughed so hard. Like seal clapping, silent, like screeching, laughing so hard because it's so ridiculous, the stuff that these people come up with just from like a little prompt that somebody gave them, and they go on for like an hour. Yeah. So but I love observational humor. I love witty, dry humor. I love like sort of offbeat humor. Like I love the kind of humor that's in Broad City.
There is times when you and I have watched something that is comedic where you'll laugh at parts where I don't laugh at, and vice versa.
Yeah. Like, I think that some of the shit that Alana pulls on Broad City is just so funny.
Right.
Just so ridiculous. And sometimes it's just, like, something that she's wearing. I'm like, there's one episode where she thinks that she has bought a crop top and is wearing a crop top, but it's really a dog hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, why? Like, there's holes in the hood for the ears. Why did you think this was for a human? And I think it's so funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I like that.
But I love the confidence that she wears it with. She's like, no, this is for humans.
Well, she always pulls it off.
Yeah,
that's the thing with Alana, right?
How did you pull off a dog hoodie?
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's so funny. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm into.
So dry, which is like, if you had to put it in 3 sentences,
like dry, offbeat, observational humor.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You think?
I mean, yeah, like you love shows like The Office and fucking like you know, like I think you have a fucking far higher tolerance than I do for cringe humor.
Yeah, that's
I actually really don't like cringe humor. Like I've decided that like it's really I don't like it. I don't enjoy it.
I mean, like I'll sit there and I'll cringe and I'll like hold the pillow up to my mouth and like bite it, but I work through it. I don't know. You just get over it. It's not actually happening.
I guess so.
The same thing that people always fucking tell me about horror films. It's not real. Well, this cringe situation isn't real. So
yeah, that's fair.
And people might say, well, Sam, like The Office, like real things that happen on The Office could actually happen in real life. Yeah, well, you could also be hunted down by an abusive ex-boyfriend or an insane person in a mask or someone trying to make a house of wax figures. People are disgusting, okay? And crazy and not right and wrong. We should not be top of the food chain, okay? Like, some of the fucked up shit that happens in horror movies has happened to people in real life as well, okay? So, relax.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hope you're still listening, everyone, because I think we should talk about, like, something that's on that note is, like, I know we didn't write this down, but I think it's interesting. Like, what do you think about stuff that isn't comedic that makes you laugh? Because I actually find some horror films to be hysterical.
Okay.
Like, there are times when, like, a delivery in a horror film in terms of lines or, like, something violent and crazy will happen, but it's so, like, cartoonish.
I remember
and
when
ridiculous that it's hilarious.
Yeah, we had like a movie night where you and all of my friends went and saw Midsummer, and I went and saw Men in Black 3.
Yeah,
because you all wanted to go to the movies, and I also wanted to go to the movies. So I was like, I'm just gonna go see what I want to see by myself, and then you guys can go see this, and I'll see you after.
It was super good. Yeah, Midsummer was really good. There's actually,
but you came out laughing about the butt pushing scene.
Well, there was that funny part where it's like, it's funny because I think it kind of plays into the brilliance of Midsummer, where like there's a scene in Midsummer. Spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. Click
it's
nowhere.
Been like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, watch the movie. It's really good. But there's a scene later in the film where one character is like coerced into having sex with like another character. And their village that they're in kind of like participates, not in like a sexual way. It's more in like a mechanical way. Because there's a point where like an old woman comes and like pushes on his like the small of his like lower back to like give him better thrust power. And then he finishes and then, you know, the scene is over. But then something I think is brilliant about that film is that, yeah, we all laughed out loud, but we laughed because it's so insanely awkward.
Yeah.
That, like, what do you do? This whole movie has been a fucking shrooms trip.
Yeah.
Like, from start to finish. It's so disorienting and confusing. So, like, when this finally happened, it was almost this crazy release of tension that we couldn't help but laugh. Despite it being, honestly, a really fucked up scene, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's coerced sex.
It's really...
That's not okay.
It's really, really fucked. Yeah. But that's the kind of thing. Like, it makes me laugh.
Would you say it's one of those things though where it's like you could either get fucked up by this thing or laugh?
I mean, I laugh at horror films all the time because I think that sometimes you just have to laugh in the face of genuine negativity, like violence or death or scariness.
Yeah.
You know, there's times when I've gotten so fucking scared, like I get jump scared in a horror film, where I'll be like, "Ooh," and then immediately be like, like, "Whoa," you know.
Funny enough, some of the funniest things some of the most wholesome, funny moments I've ever shared with my relatives are at funerals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because everyone's kind of on board with that. Everyone is, you know.
Yeah, and also just like when people are in mourning, they act weird.
It's very true.
They do. Mourning is weird, and the process of funerals and visitations is a funny, weird thing that we put ourselves through, and I really don't think we have to. I'm glad that our generation is moving past it, which we've talked about before, but like the whole like somebody dies and then you organize a visitation and then like you have the whole day of visitation where you have to like, if you're the family, you have to like welcome all of these people and deal with all these people coming up to you. And then there's the funeral, which is like a whole day and it's a whole process. And it just makes people weird. So, you know, and people come up to you and they say weird shit because they're in mourning. They've lost somebody that they care about. But they had a relationship to that person that you didn't necessarily have to the deceased. And so it makes you sort of like look at somebody's whole life and be like, this was a whole person. And sometimes you come to that realization in a weird way. You know, like somebody will come up to you and be like, oh, I used to go to camp with your grandfather and he always used to do this weird trick with his testicles. And like someone will say that to you and you're like, I've never thought about my grandfather having testicles before, but you're right.
Yeah.
And at one point he was a teenage boy. So it makes sense that when he was at camp, he did a weird thing with his testicles with all of his guy friends.
I have the fondest memories of your grandfather's testicles.
Thank you, Gregory. Never thought about it that way, but you're so right.
Eggs.
You're so right, man.
Not a single hair on them.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm going to go over here now.
So he was a late bloomer. Yeah. Cool. I just learned that about Grandpa. Thank you, Gregory. It's funny.
It is funny.
It's funny. Yeah. And you know, amidst like the tragedy of losing a loved one, it's It's the best thing, I think, to go to a funeral and have somebody say something like weird and fucked up to you.
Absolutely.
It gives you a moment of clarity, and it also just like makes you feel human again, because you don't act like yourself at a funeral.
Yeah.
So it kind of like brings you back to like being a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Something beautiful.
That is pretty beautiful when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like it sort of stretches into like the idea of dark humor, right? Like when something is dark. But in my opinion, I don't think either of our humors are dark, because we sort of always exist in this realm of impossibility.
Yeah.
Like what I would describe as dark humor is someone like saying, I don't know, like rape jokes or something.
See, this is the thing that pisses me off, because dark humor is a genuine genre of comedy, like a subgenre of comedy that has been twisted by fucked up people.
Sure.
To justify the horrible things that they want to say out loud and get away with. Dark humor is not an avenue for you to say shitty things and get away with it. It's not a get out of jail free card.
No, God, no.
Dark humor to me is basically what I talked about. It's laughing in situations where it's otherwise not okay to laugh.
I think Seven Psychopaths is considered a dark comedy or a black comedy.
Absolutely. My grade 9 English teacher actually described dark comedy, and this is how I this is the example that I've kept in my head whenever I want to like center myself and be like, no, rape jokes are not dark comedy. So my grade 9 teacher said dark comedy is when you're at a funeral and the casket is being lowered into the grave, and as it gets lowered, the pulley system breaks and the casket drops. Mm-hmm. That's dark humor.
Right.
Because it's unfortunate, it's sad, but it's funny.
Yeah, that's hysterical. Especially because you have to like paint the picture for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like the music, and it's like, now it's time for all to say goodbye.
And everyone's standing
and
silently
like the
around
violin,
the grave. And the person is slowly lowering. The old caretaker of the graveyard is just like working it, and then something goes wrong. He's like, oh shit, oh fuck, ha! And everyone's like ah, oh, and like looks around, and like your grandma is like, oh, she like faints.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It's funny. It's dark because it's a bad situation. It's a place where no one wants to be. You're at a funeral, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's the last thing you would expect to happen. The coffin just, like, drops.
Exactly.
Into the ground.
Yeah.
That is dark humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's a good way of putting it. But I agree that I definitely think the definition of dark humor has been twisted, especially by people on the internet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, dark humor is just situations where you shouldn't be laughing, but you are anyways. And I that definitely leads way for people to be like, aha, so rape, molestation, you know, sexual assault, like murder. I mean, like, murder can be funny. Just look at Clue. But
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Like the movie Clue, it's so funny. But grisly murder is just like don't make fun of that shit.
Well, it's all about how it's framed.
Don't be a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
Do you think that you could do stand-up comedy?
Never.
Me neither.
Never.
I don't think
it's such a hard art form.
It's so competitive.
Yeah.
And you also just like, you have to realize like something I think is like, okay, I'll put it this way. A lot of people tell me that I can do stand-up comedy. My answer to them is always no, I can't do stand-up comedy because I'm a very influenced person in terms of like, you understand that when you get up on stage and do jokes, you can't do other people's jokes.
Yeah.
You can't be referential
also
in stand-up comedy.
Also, like, write a joke right now. Like, seriously, like, pause this podcast right now and try to write a joke with a setup, like a hook, setup, and a punchline. Try it.
It's hard.
It's fucking hard.
And then also now take what you just wrote and weave that into a narrative that can be followed and interesting. So you're telling a story while also telling jokes.
And then transition into another joke. Smoothly. Smoothly.
And pray to God that it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, pray to God that people laugh.
I couldn't do it.
No,
I couldn't do it.
There's simply no way.
And it's like, it's so hard because it's so like everybody is rooting for you for exactly 2 seconds. And then if you don't succeed in that like first minute that you're on stage.
So pivotal.
It all just falls away.
They always say it's really hard to gain audiences' trust back.
Yeah. And it takes a special kind of person to bomb, because everybody bombs. It doesn't matter how good of a comedian you are, you bomb. Jerry Seinfeld bombs all the time. But it takes a special kind of person to take it in stride.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, I have seen comedians bomb, but be really good sports about it. and be like, oh man, you guys aren't laughing at any of my jokes, huh? Anyways, and then they push on. And it's like that person probably felt really bad when they got off stage and hit themselves in the head a million times. Like as would any of us if we stood on stage and didn't make people laugh for, 5, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever. But it takes a special kind of person to carry on.
Totally.
And I me, I'm a sore loser. So if I didn't do well, I'd just be like, fuck this. It was because of this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, you do like a Kramer and start like berating someone in the audience.
Yeah. Except I can say the N-word. So fuck you, Michael Richards.
You'd find some other offensive thing to say.
Yeah, I would find
like you'd lose your mind and start bagging on some poor Indian woman in the crowd or something. And
actually,
it's totally out of left field.
We watched someone who can't bomb gracefully on Drag Race the other week because this drag queen named Utica had to do a roast, and she was bombing and she did not take it well and just started, she even said so herself, was grasping at straws.
Definitely.
And that's what people who aren't good at stand-up comedy or who weren't built to do stand-up comedy do. Mm-hmm. They start grasping at straws and making bad jokes that are just in poor taste.
Yeah.
And honestly, mean.
Well, yeah, especially, that's why on that same similar vein, like I can never do a roast. I don't have that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of sense of humor.
Yeah, but like, just to bring it back to like bombing and like bombing with grace, it's so hard to not just resort to the cheapest low-hanging fruit jokes.
Sure.
And I just really respect anybody who can be like, that joke didn't fucking work anyways. Because I've also seen that on Drag Race when they have a stand-up challenge or a roast challenge and somebody's jokes aren't going too well and they're like, you didn't like that one anyways, and they keep on.
Moving on.
And like, they don't get eliminated because they took it in stride.
Totally.
And Utica did not take it in stride. But also, I don't blame her.
You don't?
No, I mean, I can't. It's one of those things where, yes, it was cringy. Yes, it was bad. Yes, it was bad practice. I genuinely...
It was also tasteless and
do not think
rude.
That in that exact... You put me on that exact stage, in that exact situation, with the exact same material, I would not do the same thing.
Sure. I mean, that's... Yeah, I guess.
I can see where she got desperate and wanted to just...
Well, that was clear for all.
Get through it, yeah. And it was just on
evident.
The stage. Yeah. Because roasting is hard. Totally. Stand-up is hard.
Stand-up is so hard.
Yeah.
But think about, like, it's the same thing when I think about, like, actors, right? Where it's like, think about how many people who want to be actors, right? Mm-hmm. Now think about how many career actors you know. It's a smaller number, isn't it?
It's just us.
It's because it's really hard.
Just us two.
Yeah, only two people in the world right here.
Really hard.
We're the only actors.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's why we still live with our parents.
Please give us some money.
Hire me. But yeah, no, I can totally see how, like, she said it herself. As soon as she said I was not doing well and I started grasping at straws, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not cool because she resorted to like fat jokes, which is so season 1 of RuPaul.
So blasé.
But so flase da.
Flase da.
But I get it. You just want to make people laugh, so you're just like, fat joke. Like,
I mean, not to like talk about Drag Race like in terms of like really go into it, but like I found Utica to be extremely rigid. And, like, not want to listen to anyone.
Yeah.
And, like, she was literally told by Michelle and the guest judge that week to not use those jokes.
Yep.
Like she did the jokes that she was told not to use.
And then didn't listen.
And then you bombed.
Yeah.
Like.
And got heckled.
Yeah.
I've never seen a drag queen get heckled in a comedy challenge.
Drag Race first.
Usually they just let you bomb, but she got heckled.
It was probably the worst performance in any Drag Race season that I've ever seen.
But, yeah. So yeah, no, like stand up is fucking hard, man.
Yeah, and I can't do that shit.
Utica's failure at the challenge just like made it all the more clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Last question. And we only have about a minute left, so we'll try to keep this brief.
It's not the end of the world.
Do you think comics should be allowed to talk about anything?
Mine always comes back to how you approach it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the short answer for me.
Yeah.
Is I think you can laugh at anything. Mm-hmm. I do. Like I'm not even being like facetious. I do think that there is literally almost nothing you can't laugh at. Mm-hmm. It's just about how you approach it. Mm-hmm. I think if you approach anything with respect and diligence, and cleverness, and obviously like being funny, you'll find something to laugh at, right?
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to something okay, fine. This kind of goes into this. Something I think has changed a lot in the sort of like general public perception of comedy, especially in the like from the aughts to now, is that like people don't really like shocking humor anymore. And I think edgy humor is sort of like it's kind of weaned its way out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that people should be allowed to push the envelope, like I do, but I think that you need to be careful about it because like I don't feel as though the objective with pushing the envelope is offending people, especially when it's like, because, you know, I think maybe many years ago, there were comedians out there who were like, I'm pushing the envelope to offend people, to show you that what you're offended about is ridiculous. And that makes enough sense.
That has value.
It has value, absolutely. Yeah. But I think where it's changed is that like now there's lots of comedians who make fun of things, or there was anyway, who make fun of a lot of things that offend people for the sake of offending people.
Punching down,
yeah. Right? And I think that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But I think the people that punch down about, like, it's not like you can't joke about it. You just need to be sort of careful, I guess, is the word I would use. Respectful, right? Like, I think making fun of something doesn't necessarily mean destroying it or tearing it down or breaking it.
Yeah.
You know?
You can just say that it's silly.
Making fun of something is, in my opinion, a way of celebrating it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm trying to make fun of you because what you just did brought me joy. It made me laugh. So I want to make people laugh, right? That, or at least that's the core of it all for me.
I mean, like, that is the mantra when it comes to roasting, really. Roast comedy is not about pointing out people's flaws and making fun of them.
Totally.
The flaws that they can't change, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about finding the little, like, quirks and nuances that make people, you know, weird and kooky and bringing them to light and celebrating them by making fun of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the art of it, which is why it's so impeccably hard. Because
it's such a delicate balance.
Yeah, because it's such a thin line.
Totally.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Okay, so I literally wrote down here, do you think comics should be allowed to talk about anything? And my answer to that, and I've thought about this for years now, is yes. Like, yes.
Flat out, yes.
Comics should be allowed to talk about anything. But just like with the free speech rule, if you're going to talk about anything, you have to be prepared to receive backlash and criticism and be able to receive people disagreeing with you or not liking what you say in a constructive and progressive way.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make gay jokes and you're a straight white dude, fine, make your fucking gay jokes, but be prepared for actual gay people to be like, hey, this isn't right. And then don't be the asshole who's like, well, fuck you. You just don't understand how comedy works. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do what I do. It's like,
holy shit.
man, you are getting up on a platform and espousing your beliefs for a period of time.
Yeah.
That is insanely powerful. You need to know what kind of position you're holding in society, in the world at that moment in time, and fucking think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair.
Yes. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Fine. Censorship, blah, whatever. But you got to be prepared to not be a fucking baby when people come to you and say, hey, you fucked up this part.
Yeah.
You were wrong for this. You weren't right about this. You don't know what you're talking about when you talk about this subject, because this subject is my life. If you're going to talk about race, gender identity, sexual orientation, you know, even things like parenting,
creed, religion, whatever.
Religion, things that people are very sensitive about that has to do with people's lives. Like the blood core of people's lives. You have to be prepared for the people who live that life to come forward and say, hey, great joke. You got this wrong, though. You're wrong about this. I live this life every day. You know, this is what's up. So
basically what you're saying is that you do feel as though the comedians should be able to talk about anything, but that no one, including comedians, are above critique.
Just like, stop getting mad at repercussions for your actions. You are allowed to do whatever you want on this earth. Fine. But you have to face repercussions for your actions. We're all adults.
Yeah, really.
Like, you're an adult if you're a comedian. Not necessarily. I know that some comedians started out when they were teenagers. But even if you're a 16-year-old doing stand-up shows, you're old enough to know that you have to face repercussions for your actions. Yeah. That's old enough, I think.
Well, sure.
So yeah, there was a lot of complaining, especially when the Harvey Weinstein stuff broke out, and we were talking about what's really not okay to make jokes about, and a lot of comedians were pissed off. A lot of comedians said comedy will die if people are getting offended at everything. Stop getting offended at everything. You can't get offended at everything, and I understand.
I do think that there are, like, if I could walk this line for a second, and I want you to finish your thought, but I do think that there is a public perception of sensitivity nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a negative thing, really. But I do think that there are times when it's like, guys, you could literally just take this as a joke and then not be offended by it.
That exists. And I know that, you know, when the Me Too era sort of started, a lot of comedians were like, well, what can I joke about then? Like, it's so hard. Like, comedy is impossible. It's going to die if I can't, which is like,
was
stop
your set
being
all
so
rape jokes? Like, what the fuck?
What were you talking about? Could you only talk about rape and like murder and sexual assault beforehand? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Assaulting women was the cornerstone of my act.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
There was a part where I brought a woman up on stage and assaulted her right there in front of everyone.
I don't think you were doing comedy, man. I don't think.
Can we call the cops on this guy?
That was kind of fucked up. I'm kind of looking at you now like that's a little fucked up.
Yeah.
But I understand, you know, like you want to explore, especially not all sets that comedians do are like, you know, the final versions of those jokes. Sometimes they're working it out, and like the only way to work it out is to get up in front of a bunch of people and see how it goes. So, you know, we all could stand to be a little bit more literate on the process of, building a stand-up set. But again, if I'm going to let you say whatever you want, you have to let me in return say, hey, this is fucked up.
It's a two-way street.
I don't necessarily have to cancel you. I know comedians hate getting canceled, but
no one's been canceled in like 7 fucking years. Like,
if I have to let you say whatever you want, you have to let me come back and say that was fucked up.
Totally.
I have that right.
Well, yeah.
I have that right as an audience member.
And not for anything, but like, I feel personally, like if I was a stand-up comedian, like maybe, I don't know, maybe there's comedians who are hoity-toity about this kind of thing, but like if I receive genuine feedback from someone of the group that I'm offending, like wouldn't you want your jokes to be more nuanced? Wouldn't you want, like, what if I found a way to keep this observation that I have about this kind of person, but then I could say the joke in a way that doesn't make people upset. It only makes them laugh.
I have heard race jokes made by white people that are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, and they're apt and they're not offensive. There's a way to do it. And you know what? That person probably workshopped it to a bunch of different crowds for a while before they narrowed it down and got it so right.
Yeah.
So fair enough.
Nuance, I guess, is the word.
And it is possible. But that person also probably listened to criticism and learned and, you know, like listened to people who lived the life of the people that they were making fun of and infused that nuance into their joke. And that's why it worked.
Yeah.
So I think that comedians could just stand, like, some comedians were like, listen, I'm a professional fucking comedian, okay? I know what I'm doing. Let me say my jokes. But, man, you're reflecting on life to us.
Right.
Let us tell you how we live our lives and take from that.
Or stay in your lane.
Or stay in your lane, maybe.
Bro, if you know what you're talking about, like, I believe you. You're the one with the fucking hour-long Comedy Central special. Yeah. But, like, if you're coming here and telling me what my life is and it's incorrect,
I'm going to have some things to say.
Yeah.
Because I live this life.
You know?
So, you know, just be ready for that, you know? So, yeah, say whatever you want, but you are not immune to criticism.
Well, then no one is.
Yeah, or blowback, you know? And maybe it would be even worth your while to listen to some of it. Maybe you'll get a new joke out of it.
Well, but to say, like, that's kind of an interesting thing, right? Kind of end this podcast on this note, where it's like, no one's immune to criticism, but no one has to take it either.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like,
yeah,
you know, like, I can, like, give you criticism, but whether or not you take that criticism is entirely up to you.
And personally, just on, like, an audience's note, you know, I grew up watching a lot of comedy. I know that I've said before, my Saturday morning TV ritual consisted of a lot of Family Channel, a lot of Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven. But as the afternoon went on, I would switch to the Comedy Channel, and I would watch old Just for Laughs sets from the 90s, and I inherently took on a lot of the mantras and like thoughts that these mostly white male comedians, to be perfectly honest, espoused at the time. And some of it was toxic and some of it was not good. And
comedy is hard. Aging comedy is hard.
And I learned, especially through this Me Too era stuff, where it's like, I think I'm just simply going to stop listening to comedians. And we as a society, because, like, you know, comedians, you know, you stand up on a stage, you're by yourself, the spotlight is on you, and you're espousing your thoughts. It doesn't matter whether you're, you know, Dave Chappelle, who is this, you know, lauded great, not just comedian, but just storyteller. It doesn't matter if you're
one of the best comedians in the world.
One of the smartest comedians in the world. Or if you're fucking Carrot Top.
Sure.
You look like a smart person who knows what you're doing because you got up on stage by yourself.
Well, you're allowed to get up and talk
with
uninterrupted
no one else.
For an hour.
Yeah.
Like, that's power.
You kind of look like a heretic, to be honest.
Sure.
So, like, I think through that, we sort of take comedians as someone who knows what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, a comedian is just a person.
Just a dude who wants to make you, person who wants to make you laugh.
So stop looking for your wisdom in comedians. Yes, sometimes they say smart things on occasion.
Yeah.
And sometimes their observations really take an aspect of the human experience and put it in a context that you can understand and make sense of something that you may be going through in a way that you couldn't articulate before. And that's a gift. But at the end of the day, they're just a person.
Well, you're allowed.
They're a flawed human being.
Yeah, and you're allowed to take wisdom from comedians if you think it's there. But I think,
But definitely cherry pick what you take from comedians.
Tie it back to something we always talk about, which is fucking Twitter, right? Where it's like, Dave Chappelle, brilliant man. And he is. He's very smart. And he makes lots of very funny jokes. He's obviously very good at writing comedy.
Yeah.
But do I trust Dave Chappelle's opinion on everything?
No.
And you shouldn't.
No.
Dave Chappelle doesn't want you to do that.
No. None of them do.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the thing where I feel like the society, a lot of people in the world has sort of like lifted up comedians, or at least did. I don't know. I don't think so much anymore. But like for a while there, lifted comedians up as like bastions of free speech. And like
I always looked at comedians as sort of like the jester in King Lear.
Totally.
Where it's like he's the fool.
Saying the truth.
But he's really the smartest guy in the room.
He speaks the truth. Yeah. And he brings the laughs, you know, like.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's lots of comedians who are like, I just make jokes. Like, I'm not trying to be the fucking president of the United States. So it's a two-way street where I feel like some comedians ride the high of like, people listen to me. Yeah. And then there's some comedians who go like, I want to tell jokes. And this whole pillar that I've been raised on is not of my own volition.
Yeah.
You know? It's not something that I wanted. So basically, and to bring it back to the Twitter argument where it's like, you can't listen to everything you hear on a comedian's stand-up routine. You can't listen to everything you read on Twitter because these are just people. You have to think about it. And you have to be critical. And I think that is just the ultimate lesson here.
Yeah.
Think about what you hear.
That's the lesson that I learned, at least, just to keep it from getting too preachy. The lesson that I definitely learned the hard way in loving comedians and like loving comedy and things that make me laugh is just like, remember why you're here. You're here to laugh. You know, don't shut your brain off completely, but just, you know, keep in mind this is just a person and they're one person and they're flawed and they don't know everything. So if you find something that helps you with your life, then take it. I'm sure that would make them happy. That's why, you know, comedians are artists, and that's why all artists make art is to help you with your life.
Yeah.
But
they want you to laugh. They want you to enjoy it.
Yeah. But you don't got to take everything. You don't have to become that person. I don't want to be John Mulaney.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about that. I think you probably want to be John Mulaney a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. I would like to be friends with, you know, all the major comedians right now.
Ring us up.
And actors.
Send us an email.
Be in Spider-Verse. And
Be in Spider-Verse? Oh, because John Mulaney. Yeah.
He is.
I forgot that you were I didn't realize. I thought you were just sort of speaking in general, that you, Sam, were like, I want to be friends with comedians. And I want to be in Spider-Verse. And it's like,
two things that I want in this life.
The fuck does that come in?
I want to be friends with comedians, and I want to be in Into the Spider-Verse.
Step 1, meet John Mulaney. Step 2, get cast in Spider-Verse 2.
Step 3, profit. Call me.
Profit.
Call me, John.
Thank you so much for listening to the Chill Spot Podcast, you guys.
Yes.
Sam, where can you find our podcast?
You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube. And hey, while you're on our YouTube channel, because it would be nice if you watched these videos that we record, drop a subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get a notification when we drop other fun videos, which are coming so soon. And while you're at it, why don't you hop on over to our Twitch channel where we do this shit in real time, but with fun video games. We started playing Luigi's Mansion 3 recently. Yes. It's a grand old time. You can also find us.
Did you mention Spotify?
Yes.
And Podbean?
Yes.
And Google Play?
Yes.
And Apple Podcast?
Yes.
And YouTube?
Yes.
And Twitch?
Yes. That's everything?
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.